When it comes to tuned Ferraris, people are separated in two camps. On one side, people who like them, and on the other, people who can't stand them. Now, personally, I'm so-so when it comes to this topic. Back in the old days when Ferraris were built in extremely low numbers, this was a big problem, since it meant less stock cars would be left for the rest of the people. But nowadays, with some Ferrari models topping 10,000 examples, this isn't that big of a deal. Plus, when it comes to supercars, the personalization level is always extreme, since being unique is very important for most of the owners of these cars. So anyway, hello guys and welcome back to another Worst Tuners video, Ferrari Special Part 1. Now you should keep in mind that this is based on my personal preferences. So me saying that I don't like these cars doesn't mean that these cars are bad. The first car that I want to start this is the 612 Scaglietti. I'm a big fan of this 612, since I just love its classy design, which was a true callback to the good old days of Grand Touring. This was possible because the car was designed by Pininfarina, and to be more precise, the 612 Scaglietti was designed by Frank Stephenson and Ken Okuyama, which at the same time have designed Stephenson, Maserati Quattroporte, Gran Turismo MC12 and the Ferrari 430. While on the other side, the Japanese legend Okuyama has designed such cars as the 599 GTB Fiorano, the Ferrari 456, Ferrari California and of course the Enzo. And on the 612 Scaglietti we see the both style of these designers. Now, like I said, the 612 has a very classy design, and that's why I think it's a bit hard to tune this car, because just with simply a new front bumper, you completely have changed the identity of this car, and that's what happened with the 612 Scaglietti tuned by prior design. But the body kit looks like was inspired a lot from the F12 Berlinetta, and that's the reason why this car is on this list. I just don't get the point of such conversion. The front end looks okay, while the rear not that much. But something to keep in mind with most of these cars is that the paint job picked by the owners or the tuners just ruins the car most of the time, and in my opinion is the case with this car. I don't know guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. There was a day where I really liked stretch limousines, but with the time I started disliking them, and the reason for that is that 99% of all these stretch limos out there have just terrible interiors. In the case of the 1000 SALs, Mercedes Pullman on stretched Muslins, I really like them, since these cars are very luxurious, and not just less practical buses. But the worst part is that only a small number of cars can look nice as stretch limousines, and in my opinion only the American cars look nice, like the Lincoln Town Car or the old Cadillac DeVilles. But also the W126 and the W140, they looked kind of good as stretch limousines. But historically, stupid people with money have destroyed some true great cars, for no reason at all. For example, the Ferrari 400. The 400 was quite a handsome car with a quite simple and practical design, and so the 400 could easily be turned into a four-door car, like Ferrari did with a Pinin, even though the car had received some changes. At the same time, the British limo designer Robert Yankel designed and built a four-door version of the 400, which looked kind of okay, even though the car can easily pass for a British Leyland car. But for whatever reason, some people thought that it would be a good idea to build a stretched version of this car. As a limo, the car just doesn't look that good, because the car has completely lost its Ferrari magic, And what's the point to build a limo-based Ferrari if the car has lost completely its Ferrari identity? But this car is a bit rare. In fact, I would say extremely rare. But the 360 limos aren't that rare. In fact, there are lots of them out there. Now, when I saw this car for the first time, I thought that was something else underneath, like a Pontiac Fiero. In the end, this wouldn't have been the first time somebody would have built a limo that kind of looked like a Euro exotic. Ultra limousines built two cars like this back in the 80s. First was a convertible quote-unquote F40, which is crazy, but at least, to be honest, this car isn't fooling anyone. The second was a Countach limousine, which looks a bit like a real deal, but a trained eye can easily spot that this car is fake. But this isn't the case for the 360s. These are based on real Ferraris, which just some morons thought it would be a good idea to turn them into limousines. Now I just don't get the point of this car, because first, looks bad. Second, differently from the 400, which was your typical European limousine with 4 passenger seats, the 360 is more like a roller coaster, with 4 or 6 seats put behind each other. Now, I wasn't sure if I could add this car on this list, because these are more special orders, but since they were built by no names, I thought that they would be a great addition to this list. I'm talking here about the Ferraris of Prince Geoffrey of Brunei, or of the Sultan of Brunei, how they are mostly known. Now, not all his special Ferraris were bad, like the FX for example, which looks pretty good for a car which was built just for one guy, and it's a shame that Ferrari didn't build more of this car. Now, the first cars that I want to talk about are his F40s. Yes, he had something between 7 to 10 F40s, and all of them were tailor-made just for him. Like most of his cars, his F40s were always sent to Pininfarina. Ferrari only sold the F40s left-hand drive, and only on a Rosso Corsa, but the Prince wanted more than just that. So besides converting to right-hand drive, he also ordered his cars with some special colors, like yellow and white. But the weirdest one is this matte grey or gunmetal grey. Personally, I hate matte painted cars, and especially classics like the F40. The car just looks like an awful replica, and that red stripe does no good at all. But this wasn't enough, apparently, since all the F40s were packed with Testarossa interiors, which in a sort of way ruins the whole weight-saving work that Ferrari did. But a more mysterious car, and in my opinion worse, is his special F50. Like the F40s, the work was done by Pininfarina. Now sadly not much is known about this car, we only have these blurry pictures. But the car just doesn't look good at all. Probably because the F40 just looks so good. Mansory just loves to tune Ferraris. The German tuner has presented many kits for different Ferrari models, but the worst in my opinion is the Stallone series. In this video, as I'm going to include only the 599, but I'm probably going to talk about the others on the other parts of this video. Now, like all the Mansories, the Stallone has received a full carbon fiber body kit. One of the most obvious things is the big smile that looks just weird. Plus the body kit has this part on the middle, kind of replicating the F1 cars. Mansory used a similar body kit for the SLR McLaren, but the Merc looked actually better. The rear isn't that bad, with a new rear bumper with a single exhaust in the middle. Now the Stallone 599 had received some minor power upgrades. From 740, the power was increased to 775, so nothing that crazy. But of course this video would be worst Ferrari tuners list without a Gembala MiG-U1. Now there are two problems with this car. First, and the biggest, is the fact that this car is based on the Enzo. Since Enzo is so rare, one being destroyed is quite a big deal. Now in typical Gembala fashion, the body kit is just crazy here. The new body kit creates this weird 3-point face, which looks a bit similar with Fab Design's SLR. While the rear is just so crazy, with a giant rear wing and with exhaust placed just under the taillights. Like many Gembalas, the MiG-U1 has received some minor power upgrades, from 650 to 700, so nothing that crazy. But the body kit is wild enough, so who cares about power? Now Gembala had planned to build 25 examples of the MiG-U1, which when you consider that Ferrari only built 400 Enzo is just impossible, and looks like 1 or 2 were ever built. So guys, thank you for watching and see you next time.